Nearly all my life, I've lived with this deep, inexplicable void, and I never understood why. Now, I was adopted, and it's really important for me to tell you that I was raised by an incredible family. But before that, I was born Young-un in Seoul, South Korea on October 24th, 1982. And that's about all I knew about my past. Why was I given up? Were my parents searching for me? These were all questions that I resigned myself to likely never getting the answers to in my lifetime. But why even ask these questions? Well, if you were adopted, you might know why. If you were not, I liken this feeling to maybe being lost. If you've ever been in an unfamiliar place running late, there's that moment where you realize you are not going to make it to your destination on time, and you still have no idea where you're at. It is the worst feeling. Maybe a little something like that. What are you even supposed to do with that? Well, if you're like me, you'll spend the next 42 years of your life punishing yourself trying to answer those questions, going a million miles an hour. There's a point where I realized this void was my superpower. It fueled me to work harder than those around me, to stay curious, to travel, to go bigger and faster, to build things, and to seek connections. But let me be clear, keeping yourself busy and amassing achievement does not help you answer those questions. In fact, in my case, it made me feel more lonely. And you know what? Sometimes it's in those moments that you realize that you're doing something wrong and that void is still there with you. It took me literal isolation, thank you, COVID, and massive loss for me to realize what was important to me. I lost my best friend of 15 years, Penny. My father passed away at the point in which we were finally starting to connect as adults. And now as a single female homeowner, I realize how much I wish I had his wisdom. I experienced a traumatic injury 5 surgeries later, a knee replacement, and chronic pain that I still live with. And I'm finally accepting the fact that my relationship with the outdoors and things that bring me so much joy may never be the same ever again. I moved to a new city trying to chase the American dream. I closed one business, sold another to try and find balance in my life. I said goodbye to a relationship of 7 years that I gave my everything to, and I denied myself the possibility of new love, knowing I had a void to answer to. Now at 42 years old, I realize that I may never get the chance to have children of my own because I kept myself too busy. On the outside, I felt like I always had to be strong to take care of others that depended on me, but on the inside, I was still fighting the call of that void. And then, November of this last year, everything changed. I was splitboarding up the side of Stevens Pass with my 2 huskies, and I found myself text messaging halfway across the world with my birth mother. Thanks to 23andMe, we were connected, and I got the chance to start answering some of those questions. I learned that after she gave me up, she actually tried to go back for me, only to find that I had been sent away. I learned that she also lived with this quiet ache and this void, and she tried to find me multiple times. These are all things that I had been waiting to hear my entire life, and I was finally getting to hear them. And then, actually, 2 weeks ago today, I found myself getting off an airplane, being greeted by my birth mother. And I don't know the words that we even said to each other, but I remember that first hug. And you guys, it's crazy. She's so much like my American mom, and she's so much like me. She is so funny. And I can't tell you how wild it is to be able to look in the eyes of someone that you've been searching all your life for and see them looking back at you thinking the same exact thing. Not only did I get to meet my birth mom, I got to meet my 2 siblings, my nephews, my cousin, aunt, uncle, and even my grandparents from the grave. And I learned that I come from a long line of hardworking people who have lost a lot. It's a small family, but they care so deeply for each other, and they welcomed me in with open arms, and you know what? It felt a little bit like I was adopted again. All these years, I thought that being adopted was a curse, but it was a gift. I was gifted the fire and drive to accomplish things that my birth mother literally dreamt of for me in her entire life. It was a gift because now I have two families and I have two moms.